Hey, it's me, ABSD, and welcome to the Inner Dialogue podcast. Today is Friday, March 8th. It's 11:50 a.m. and I have been sick the last few days. I was driving home on Tuesday afternoon with Nick and could feel the sickness setting in and woke up that night with a utterly painful sore throat that tore me out of my sleep, and even went to the doctor the next day because I could feel that my body was fighting off this illness. Turns out I just have a cold, which is great because it's not the flu, it's not COVID, it's not strep, all of the things that I wouldn't want it to be. And I am okay with taking a few days to rest and to take care of my body and to listen to what my body needs, which is a welcome change. And I'm proud of myself for listening to what I need and actually tuning into my body and canceling plans where plans were made because I have not wanted to push myself this cycle of being sick. I've wanted to make it as short as possible. And I know that to do that means to actually be sick for a couple of days and allow my body to rest and to give it what it needs, and so that I can come back and be healthier later. Pausing here because my dog needs some attention. Ooh. It's really amazing, though, of how exhausted my body is because it's been fighting off this illness. And even just walking up the stairs, I get to the top of the stairs and feel so weak. It's bizarre. And it just continues to prove to me that I am doing the right thing by resting and rejuvenating as I see fit, listening to my body. But that's not what this episode's about today. I got a new tattoo this week. It is the biggest tattoo. Well, biggest is relative because I have some big tattoos on my legs, but it is covering the most amount of real estate in one given area that I've ever gotten. I'm starting to build a sleeve on my right arm, and it's something I've been talking about for a bit now since I got my mountain wrap last June. And I started to build around my mountain wrap even further. And when I originally, okay, I feel like I just need to start over. My brain is trying to wrap around what I'm trying to say, and I'm a little bit struggling to do that right now. It's interesting because tattoos has been something that I've had to do a lot of processing around in general. When I first started getting tattoos again last December, I need you to chill, dude. I need you to lay down and chill. Can you do that for me? For your mama? Okay. Ugh. Come on. Yeah. Okay. I started getting tattoos again after I moved to Colorado in December of 2022. I got a tattoo every year I was in college, but every single one was super small and hidden, and that was intentional. I grew up where tattoos were not a celebrated thing, but rather there were a lot of opinions about people with tattoos and what it could do to you or to your professional life. And so when I started getting tattoos again in December of 2022, the tattoos I got were still very small. And so it didn't bring up a lot for me. Fast forward to March of 2023, I got a leg wrap, and it brought up a lot of feelings for me. And I had to do a lot of processing around it. I processed it on my own, I processed it in therapy. I did talk processing with some friends and family, and just like continued to process through what it now meant that I had such a large tattoo on my body. Fast forward, I got a ton of tattoos in 2023 because tattoos are a hobby for me. It's something that I love, and being able to take such beautiful art and have it on my body and allow it to embody me and be able to shine the feelings that I have on the inside so well on, like, wear it on my body. It's such a powerful thing for me. And I did a lot of processing in 2023 around tattoos, a lot of conversations with people around my tattoos, because a lot of people in my life still have big opinions about them. And the huge thing that I kept going back to is that people are allowed to have their opinions. But the opinion that matters about my tattoos is mine, because they are on my body and it's something that I wear every day. And are other people going to have opinions about my body and my tattoos? Yes, because that's the culture and society that we live in. But it should not sway the way that I feel about myself and the way that I feel about the tattoos that I have. And that's been a really awesome belief to hold on to through this process of having more tattoos on my body. And I've had a lot of comments from people just in the world who love my tattoos and love to compliment them, which I love when people compliment my tattoos. It's so fun to me. And I love having conversations about my tattoos and talking about why I have them. And sometimes there's meaning behind it, and sometimes there's no meaning at all. And being able to talk and explain that feels fun and exciting to me. And I've also had people who like to make me feel bad about my tattoos and try to bring me down and make me feel small. And I have made the decision to not allow those thoughts and feelings to make me feel small, and to also not play into them for the other people who are saying it, because it's the feeling that they're feeling is not my feeling to take on. So I thought, going through all of this processing and leaning into understanding this subconscious wiring around tattoos and what I was taught about tattoos and what it says about people or who has them, ifs, ands, and buts, all of that, I had done a lot of clearing. And I just want to talk about like how processing and healing is just a constant up leveling process, because all of 2023, right? Like I had 4 large tattoo appointments in 2023 and did a lot of thinking and feeling around that. Fast forward to this week, on Tuesday, I got a new tattoo and building out my sleeve on my right arm, extending my mountain wrap, adding some trees, building in roots. It's a dope ass piece and I really love it. And for that evening and into the next day, I had a hard time looking at it and even embracing that it was on my body, because I felt so disconnected from it. And I had to sit and ask myself why. And as I was journaling, I was processing through this, and my brain would not allow me to actually understand or see or know these reasons. And so I started doing some tapping. And I've learned tapping from an astrologist that I worked with, but recently Amanda Francis posted a video about tapping that reminded me of just how easy it can be to help process through limiting beliefs when we're feeling and experiencing them. So I paused my journaling and I tapped it out, and I allowed my brain to I gave my brain permission to tell me what I was fearing. And 3 or 4 fears came out very quickly, like that. And it allowed me to then process those fears through tapping. And then I continued journaling and processing them further. And it makes me realize that how these wirings on our brains, the way that we've been taught each lesson in our life relates to it has deeper and deeper levels to it, just as our understanding of all things do. And the deeper that we go into something, a passion, a hobby, whatever it may be, for me, it's been tattoos. The deeper I've gone into tattoos, the more that I've uncovered around fears that are attached to tattoos. And what I've often discovered is that the fears are the same, but the level of me processing the fears has to go deeper because my experience with tattoos is going deeper. And I just couldn't predict that. I couldn't predict the disconnect that I was going to feel. I couldn't predict that it was going to bring up all of these same feelings and emotions that I had felt before. How would I know or understand that that would happen? And I'm glad that it did because I'm constantly wanting to up level and I'm constantly wanting to process things further, but it's uncomfortable. And it sometimes it would be easier to just ignore it instead of to look at the uncomfortability and figure out why I'm uncomfortable. And I realized that through processing it, I was uncomfortable because of the opinions that I was fearful of others rather than the opinion of my own. And I don't want to carry other people's opinions or feelings. That's not my responsibility. My responsibility is to carry my own. And thank goodness for that, because the weight of the world is not the weight of everybody else's feelings and opinions are not mine. And I have to give space for myself to hold mine and to understand mine. And then from there, what overflows is love for other. And I have so much love for others, so much love for others. And it's my greatest gift. And I'm glad to continue to dive into why other people's opinions I'm fearful of or scared to hear or know. And because they can be hurtful, other people's opinions can be really hurtful. But what I've realized is that they're not mine. And they're allowed to feel what they feel. Everybody in this world is allowed to feel what they feel. But it doesn't stop me from knowing my truth and believing my truth. And sometimes I take other people's opinions and I hear them and I'm like, yeah, that's a really good point, and maybe latch onto it as my own. But that's my choice and I get to decide that rather than it being me being glue and it just sticking to me because it's put out there. There's a huge difference there. Something else I also wanted to touch on was my style. This week, a lot happened for me on Tuesday, this tattoo, and also I went shopping for some new clothes. I had some extra time before my tattoo appointment and I went into Old Navy. I love Old Navy. I haven't shopped at Old Navy in a while. I haven't shopped really at all recently because my partner is the most honest person to me, really, and he called me out for being afraid to shop in the men's section. And I didn't realize that I was afraid of it, but I definitely was carrying fear around shopping in the men's section because I think I'm still processing that. I'm definitely still processing it because I haven't really processed it, but I did. This week I shopped in the men's section. I went into Old Navy and I didn't even go into the women's section at all. And I found some great pants and great short shirts and sweaters that all really fit me how I want them to fit me and fit my style. And it felt really aligned to be able to embody myself in that way. Remember, my word this year is embodiment. And as I continue to work on embodying myself, that also means challenging myself to go out and do things that do align with me, whether that's scary or creates fear or not. And shopping in the men's section has created fear in me because of, like I was saying, those opinions and even my own opinions. And I'm realizing that my style is very masculine by society standards. And I am allowed to lean into my style without repercussion, without fear of repercussion. For so long, I always tried to fit into this very feminine box that was given to me because this is what an eligible woman looks like. And, I am a very married woman now, and I'm grateful for that for a lot of reasons. But one of the reasons is that I've had the freedom of expression to lean into who I am and what I am. And I never I never allowed myself to do that before because I always wanted to fit the society standard of what a woman was. And now I'm discovering what a woman is to me and what I am and who I am and how I get to embody who I am. And I know that this year, it's the beginning of March, but I know that this year is going to bring more and more embodiment because that's my focus for this year, embodying myself and not holding on to the fears to embody me and to lean into that embodiment, which is really spectacular, but also new and uncomfortable and has created some fear inside of me. Shopping in the men's section was different because one, I haven't shopped in a while, so I don't really know my size anymore, but the sizing's a little bit different. And I also have hips, and women's pants sometimes account for hips. And so finding the right size of pants and how I wanted my shirts to fit. But it was amazing because it was a morning on a Tuesday. And so there was nobody in this store hardly. And I got to try on so many pieces of clothing where they all fit me, which was amazing. But being able to say, I don't like the way this fits me, so I don't have to get it. And I like the way this fits me, but it feels a little uncomfortable, or I don't feel like it's in my style. I even branched out and got some pieces of clothing that I thought were really comfortable, but just put me out of my comfort zone on something that I would wear because of that masculine feeling to them. And so I'll be interested in the next few weeks once I'm not sick anymore and actually I'm leaving the house to wear these new clothes and to see how it feels to wear these new clothes out in the world and how my mind, body, and spirit feels inside of them. I did a lot of clearance shopping that day and ended up saving more than I spent, which is always the best. But the pieces of clothing that I got, I loved the way that I felt inside of them. The comfortability, the movement, the way I felt safe. And I am excited to try and wear some out in the world and see how it feels, and to continue to allow and peel back these layers of this embodiment of this societal standard, more masculine version of myself. I feel like I've been on the masculine side for a bit now, but I have not fully addressed or fully dressed in that way or bought clothes for that. I've sort of started shopping in the men's section with Nick at Costco, and that's been great because they just have great stuff in that section. And I'm always jealous of what he finds. And so he's like, why don't you shop in that section too? You can. And there was this block in my brain that was pretty much telling me that I can't. And I've moved past that block. And like I said, I feel like I'm still processing it. It's still really new and it's still uncomfortable in a lot of ways for me, but we grow the most when we're in our uncomfortability and challenging ourselves to sit in that and understand why we're uncomfortable and understand what truths are behind that uncomfortability. And I'm I'm here to embody that this year and always going forward in life, but especially this year just feels so pertinent. It feels so right and aligned with me and where I'm going. And I want that. I want that for myself. I want that for my future self, and to be able to know and understand and be comfortable in my body and in my skin in whatever way that looks. And that also means being honest about some tough truths that I have not allowed myself to be honest about. That I have a few in my brain right now, but I have not begun to say them out loud and embody that journey for myself. So, one step at a time, and I'm perfectly comfortable and okay with that. Because with up leveling, it comes in chunks, and we are constantly finding new ways to process further, to heal deeper, to love ourselves more. And I'm grateful for that process, grateful to continue up leveling in my processing and up leveling in life with my growth. But I know that it comes with facing some of my darkness and facing my truth. And I'm going to own that. I want to own that. I plan to own that. So my brain kind of had a hard time focusing today. I know because part of that is being sick, but I wanted to show up for myself today. And as I was sitting downstairs reading, my brain couldn't focus because I wanted to podcast. It's funny how that happens. And I'm glad that I showed up today, and I'm glad I sat in this space. And I think there's a huge thing to be said about continuing to show up. And especially in the Inner Dialogue podcast, I'm so proud of myself for continuing to show up. I love you so much. I'm grateful for you, grateful for this journey, and grateful you're on it with me. I hope today you go out and you love loudly. You take up space, as much space as you need. Be awesome. Own your uniqueness. It's a gift for this world. I love you. Bye.